from the virtual circuit Zolder, we say welcome, sim racing fans, to the Apex Racing Academy F3 Championship live on Apex Racing TV. I'm your host, Joshua Lee. Joining me in the commentary box is Alessandro Dalladone with Marco Barbanera down below, controlling all the overlays that you will be seeing on your screen throughout today's broadcast. And Alessandro, another week of this series, a lot of big names back in the registration. What are you expecting as we go racing at this very unique circuit here at Circuit Zolder?
Yeah, hi Joshua, thanks for introducing me. I'm expecting some great racing at this historical track. It's definitely a tough track for Formula cars. It's very tight, and we expect probably some contests early on, especially with these tight chicanes. But absolutely looking forward for this race as we are already into qualifying. 3 minutes in, we have the first few drivers almost crossing the start-finish line right now.
Taking a look at Luca Albon, he has been on a tear lately. He went 2 in a row here in this series in the past 2 broadcasts that we have done here on Apex Racing TV. He's going to take to the track for the first time as he heads through turn number 4, down the straightaway into the Klein chicane, turn number 5. Dantas currently has the fastest time, though. That's Flavio Dantas, a 1:22.301. It's the first times begin to make their way into the leaderboard. There goes Albon through that turn 5 chicane. Long downhill turn number 6 at this track. Very narrow, very tough to get right, Alessandro.
Yeah, absolutely. This track might be very short, but at the same time, every corner is a challenge. You have these very tight chicanes that if you miss, you might even damage your car, so you have to be very careful. Also, slowdowns might be an issue for these drivers, but also these very fast corners can give you quite a lot of push, especially when you're following somebody. So track position and having a very good qualifying, Joshua, is gonna be key for this event.
Like I mentioned just a couple moments ago, Luca Albon won at week 4 in Donington. He won week 5 in Barcelona. We now head to week 6 here in Zolder as Luca Albon looking to put his first couple of times up on the leaderboard, and his first one will go to the top of the leaderboard with a 1:21.71. A great lap from Luca Albon as Altor Lopez puts in a lap. Marcos Luzio, Gianfranco Pagotto gonna improve by 1 position to a 1:21.892. There goes Luzio up into 5th. Jose Kaplan into 6th. Rod McGuire will go into 16th. Marcos Zippolo into 8th. Diego Acevedo in 14th. As all the times start to trickle their way in, only 2 drivers not on the track putting it in a time, and that's Will Mason and Lucas Morio. But Luca Albon, like I mentioned earlier, on a tear right now, 2 in a row. Week 3 in Nürburgring, that was Karl Modoff going to victory lane. You go back to week 2, that was Robert Hahn. Week 1, Alex Dunn. We have not seen a win from anybody else except Luca Albon in the past 2 weeks. Alessandro, is he your favorite going into today?
Well, it looks like he has a lot of pace, although the first 5 drivers are literally 2 tenths away from each other, so it's gonna be very difficult to pass, as I said, Joshua. So I think that Luca definitely has a chance to get a win also here in Zolder, but don't count out the Italian guys, Meuda, Battaglotta and Pagotto. They are very fast, and I think we will see a lot of this race happening mostly in the opening 2 or 3 laps, where everybody is gonna be together, and then it's gonna be more mind games rather than actually making some passes.
A very diverse group of drivers, 3 Americans in the field, and then everybody else is from overseas, and we're seeing a couple even Japanese names in there as well. And there's the championship standings. Luca Albon sits on top with 70 points towards the championship. Gianfranco Pagotto in second with 68. It is a very close fight up there at the top, and Pagotto had that points lead for a lot of rounds, but with no wins, just consistency from Gianfranco Pagotto, that drops him into second. David Holland, Karl Modoff, third and fourth, and you can see the drop-off between Holland and Modoff. David Holland not in the race here today, so he's going to lose out on all those points. Modoff isn't in the race either. So So that means he's also going to lose out on a lot of points. It's an opportunity for Clinard and Falcon, if they're registered, to get up in the field. Or anybody that's registered that is not up here in the points, they have a very great opportunity of trying to climb that points sheet and get some more points and have a shot at the championship as we enter the last half of the season.
Yeah, absolutely. We have some interesting names that are missing from today's grid, probably also due to the 24-hour of Daytona, which started a bit later, so maybe they were scheduled to do the first few stints. But these guys that are here today have definitely a big chance to get quite a lot of positions, because with these missing drivers, there is a big chance to get some valuable points. We also would like to get these last 30 seconds of qualifying to thank our sponsor quickly, Josh. Starting with Virtual Racing School to improve your own track performance with 50 plus data packs, road and oval racing, setups, track guides, data analysis softwares, one-on-one coaching, and also mostly it's integrated with our own Apex Academy setups, which we have with 29 data packs, track guides, wiki group coaching sessions, and also fairly new one-on-one coaching sessions. So go check everything at apexracingacademy.co.uk.
Well, it's time to take a look at the starting grid. And by the way, we did try to do the 24 hours of Daytona on iRacing, all of us Apex Racing TV commentators, and I believe we got punted on lap number 1. So not exactly the best opportunity for us there in the 24 hours, but give us an opportunity now to really focus on the broadcast. Let's look at Albon. Sits on the pole. Francesco Miola in second. Max Bortolano will start third. Flavio Dantas fourth, with Gianfranco Pagotto rounding out your top 5. Felipe Dantas in 6th. Marcus G in 7th. Connor Wagner will start in the 8th spot, with Malcolm Laritzin in 9th. Marcus Luzio rounds out your top 10. Jose Kaplan, Marco Zippolo in 11th and 12th. Diego Acevedo in 13th. Sensuke Hanzawa in 14th. 15th is Tomoyo Shingu. 16th is the Thiago Spencer. 17th, Felix Corner. In 18th, Rod McGuire. 19th, Aitor Lopez. And rounding out your top 20 is Chuck Morrow. In 21st, it's Camille Vandendrisk. In 22nd, Paulo Dreta. 23rd, Andy Flint. 24th, Erwin Smith. 25th, Will Mason. And rounding out your 26 car field is Lucas Morio. 26 cars ready to take the green flag here at Zolder as they all sit on the grid getting ready to get those green lights. Can Luca Albon go 3 in a row? Will we see a brand new winner? Will we see a new face in the top 10 of the point standings? We're about to find out as the lights come on and go out. Let's go racing. We are underway. Week 6 at Zolder. Everybody races down to turn number 1. Albon with a good start. Viola trying to block Max Bortolano, but Bortolano going to push his way to the inside. The Italian side by side, 5 and 6. Going into turn 2. The inside going to prevail. Miola going to take second. Bortolano down to third. It's Dantas and Pagotto rounding out your top 5.
Yeah, we have some contact in the midfield with Zipoli that went off track, but we have a great fight here in the midfield. We have a car, it's Körner, out on the gravel, went around with cold tires, as we see drivers sliding back into position in these very tight chicanes. Definitely have an eventful start, but in the top 5 or 6, pretty clean start.
Unfortunate for Corner as he is going to make it back into pit road. He stuffed it into the wall going through that corner as we're now on board with Flavio Dantas trying to chase down Max Bortolano. And you can see very quickly this top 5 already pretty spread out for being still on lap number 1 as they're only now making their way through turn number 8. So already a good gap in between each of those cars, and you can see the top 5 separated by a little less than 3 seconds.
Some issues here.
Oh, more contact in the back.
Andy Flint and Rod McGuire collided after Flint had a tire on the gravel, and here we have all the drivers coming through the first corner. Some drivers hitting pit road. We have Marcos, MG, and Acevedo, Flint, McGuire, everybody hitting pit road to get the car repaired.
Tomoya Shingu, also a part of that group in pit road. Unfortunate for the Japanese driver, but you can see as everybody else makes their way down on lap number 2 through turn number 5, Luca Albon in a commanding lead as he sets the fastest lap the last time by, a 1:26.826, as he continues to race his way around Zolder. He's trying to get what he's done the past couple of rounds, and that is just get a commanding lead that nobody else is able to catch. It seems like the only drivers that are really able to rival Luca Albon is David Holland. I mean, he was very close in Barcelona. We saw a 10-lap battle for the win last week in Spain, and it seems like David Holland's the only one that can keep up with Luca Albon. Nobody else really holding a candle to him right now.
Yeah, it looks like Luca is doing a great job, and hopefully for him he will have the same pace as he showed in Spain, keeping always this distance to the drivers behind, and setting fastest lap after fastest lap, as right now it's Bortolotta setting the new fastest lap of the race with a 1:22.58.
Miola still in second with Bortolotta in third, and there's that gap in between each of these cars, like we mentioned, getting wider and wider as they get those left side tires onto the grass coming out of that corner. It's all about maximizing track limits here in iRacing and at Zolder. Let's take a look at the replay. I believe this might have been of the first lap. Yes, it is. This is of some of our first lap incidents, and there's the first one of Marco Zappoli.
Yeah, hitting Tomoya Shingu in the 22 car. Tripoli made his way back on the track, but not the Japanese driver, who is at the moment one of the 2 cars sitting on pit road that put the race over together with Andy Flint.
So Luca Albon continues to lead after all that lap 1 incidents. G, Acevedo, Flint, and Shingu all came down to pit road. They're all back onto the racetrack, as far as our timing screen tells us. As we take a look at a battle between Kaplan and Thiago Spencer, going through the chicane. And these cars are very close together as Kaplan leads this battle. Here goes Thiago Spencer in that orange car down to the inside, but that's going to very quickly become the outside. And here comes the other Brazilian of Paulo Dreta to try and take that spot. This is a battle for 10th, but right now, Spencer and Dreta battling for 11th. This is a pack of Brazilians as they come through turn 2.
Yeah, great fight between these drivers. It's very difficult to make some passes work, especially in this middle section where we have mostly tight chicanes. So either you get some passes done in these very fast right-handers, or you have to wait for a mistake, as Spencer made exiting this chicane just a little bit over the inside curve, and it unsettled the car. But unfortunately you need to have a nice run, as we have Malcolm Lauritsen around.
Lauritsen spins going through the turn 7 chicane. Unfortunate for Lauritsen, as he's now going to have to get his wheels back going, and if he has damage, head into pit road to try and get it fixed. We're back on this battle between Kaplan, Spencer, and Dreta. There's a battle further back between Sensuke Hanzawa and Erwin Schmidt, it looks like. Is Schmidt going to try and go to the outside of his AlphaTauri and through the chicane? He's not going to be able to make anything happen. That is the turn 10 chicane back onto the front straightaway, so he has another chance going through turns 1, 2, and 3, and 4, where we see a lot of passing happen because of these long, widespread, late apex corners. He's just not able to get it done there as he continues to fight with Sensuke Hanzawa ahead.
Yeah, absolutely great battle between these 2 drivers, as Luca Albon with another textbook lap sets the new fastest lap of the race with a 1:21.73. By far the fastest lap so far. Meola is losing a little bit every lap. Is 1.7 the gap between the 2 drivers. Good race so far for Luca Albon, as we have a replay now of Marco Zipoli. A troubled race for the Italian driver. Some damage on the front wing. Enters pit road. Looks like a routine pit entry to fix the car.
So unfortunate for Zipoli. Looks like he might have had another incident that added on to that lap. One, too much curb on the inside, and he goes for a spin. Doesn't look like any damage to that car, but definitely not what he needed to add on to that turn one incident. So he brings it back into pit road as Gianfranco Pagotto sets the new fastest lap, 1:21.645. As everybody just continues to try and get stuck into this race. Fairly short race, only 17 laps. Are already nearing that halfway point, and it's important for these guys to really start working in those tire temperatures, getting them into that right working temperature, and trying to gain as many positions as possible, Alessandro, because if they wait around too long, they're going to find out they're not going to have enough time.
Yeah, absolutely. That was exactly what I was thinking about, Joshua. It's very difficult to make spots when the tires are up to temperature too, so if you want to make some spots, you have to do it early on in the race, as also dirty air is a part of this. And I think especially these guys fighting for the championship like Pagotto or also Fabio Dantas, who has been always very fast, I think they don't really lack much raw speed out of their car, but they will have a very hard time to find the way to make a pass, because everyone in front here in the top 5 have more or less the same speed, so it will take a big mistake to make a simple move.
Everyone continues to get stuck into their routine as we take a look at the 3 of Max Bortolotta, sorry, the 6th car of Max Bortolotta, currently in 3rd place, with Miola up ahead and Fabio Dantas breathing down his neck right there as he is in the 2. Pagotto in the 1, right behind in 5th. This is your top 5, unchanged from when they started the race, but you can see Dantas wants to try and get around Max Bortolotta. He just cannot get close enough right now. That gap about 6/10.
The biggest mover so far in the race is Lucas Camba Moreiro, starting in 26th position, right at the tail end of the field. Is now up in 13th place, so he's our biggest mover, as we have some side-by-side racing between Erwan Schmidt and Chuck Mauro for 17th place.
Schmidt gonna send it into that chicane, but Chuck Mauro wants that spot. Here he goes down to the inside. Mauro gonna try and take that advantage. Not gonna go wide though is Erwan Schmidt. He's trying to hold it on the racetrack. Great battle between Mauro and Schmidt, the 23 and the 19, as they come through the chicane into turn number 9. And it looks like the 23 is gonna take that spot, but take a look in the back there. That's Will Mason in the 21. He has an opportunity now to try and take 18th away from Schmidt. A lot of curb, and off track goes Chuck Mauro. He's gonna bring it back on, but he's gonna lose 2 positions as they go 3 wide down the front straightaway. There goes Schmidt, there goes Mason. Mauro back into 19.
Yeah, you could see that Mauro got a little bit of the grass on the entry of the corner, and then he had to cut the chicane and avoid the big curve. This put him back into 19th place, so 1 position back from where he started, as he's making it side by side through this fast right-hander and gets back P18. That gives you an idea how difficult it is to push this car to the limit in this track. You need always very, very careful, because you might hit a little bit of grass and go around, or hit too much of a curb and damage your suspension or front wing. So this is even more remarkable looking at the lap times and the consistency of these drivers are having today, as Luca Alson is crossing the start-finish line and about to start lap 9 of this event. Francesco Meuda second, 2.5 is the gap, with Max Bortolotta, Fabio Dantas right behind.
Continuing on with this race as we are now halfway done. There's Max Bortolotta. We talked about that battle between him and Dantas, as Fabio Dantas is behind him, just trying to gain as much time on him, but he really can't. And I want to talk for a second, Alessandro, about dirty air. We don't really talk about it much with these F3 cars, but it does exist. Not as much as Formula 1, not as much as maybe even the F2 cars here on the service, but these F3 cars, they do have dirty air, and if you're in that dirty air, it makes it so much more difficult to gain time on the car in front and make the pass.
Yeah, absolutely. We've seen also last week at Barcelona how difficult it was to make a pass work. You had a lot of straights available. Here at Zolder the track is much shorter and the straights are not as long as in Spain. As Dantas clips Bartolotta and makes him go around. We have a drama in turn 8. Bartolotta is around and rejoins the track right now, but it's something we didn't want to see. These two drivers already have some issues early on in the season. Dantas now in 8th place, Bartolotta in 5th, actually 6th. Bartolotta is back on pit road. He has a broken rear wing.
Very unfortunate for both of those drivers, as Bortolotta was having a great drive. So was Flavio Dantas, as he falls into 7th. Now 5 Brazilians between 6th and 10th. And here's the replay. There's Bortolotta. This is going into turn number 8. And man, just goes straight around into the grass. Not much Bortolotta can do about that one there, Alessandro.
Yeah, absolutely nothing he could do. He definitely did everything right there. Dantas maybe too much master under braking. He didn't get the car slowed down, and maybe also some connection issues. I don't know there, but it can happen. These open wheelers are very fragile too. So let's say Dantas got away quite fine out of there because he's 7th place still, but nothing to do for Bortolotta, who is now actually back in 19th place. So it's pretty much a race over for Italian driver. This promotes Pagotto in 3rd, Conor Wagner in 4th, and Marcus Lutz in 5th. So some nice freebies for these guys. But look at Albon again, 121.3 for the driver from the UK and Ireland. Almost 3 seconds the gap to Meola right now, so another textbook driver so far.
Well, here's Bortolotta, another replay with the 6th car, and we talk about Bortolotta a lot here on the broadcast, as he is one of those drivers that has pretty much always been racing up front. He's always been in the talks for a win. He hasn't been able to get it done just yet, but this is going to ruin that sort of string of consistent finishes we're used to seeing from Max Bortolotta here on the broadcast.
Yeah, you need to be consistent, especially in our championship, which is a single race every week. You need to get always points in. And this showcase, for example, Pagotto, every time, not maybe being able to win, but always around the top 3 and getting valuable points, as other drivers have trouble one week and the other maybe get another great result. This gives him the chance still to contend for the title, as Luca Albon is winning today. We lose still some points, but you never know.
On board with Paulo Dreyta, as he is right on that back wing of, that was Thiago Spencer, but this is the 14 of Marcus G around in turn number 5. What happened for that number 18 machine of Marcus G? Sorry, not of Marcus G. I'm wondering what happened. Oh, it was Marcus G in the 14. My bad, my bad.
Tough evening for Marcus, as we have Zipoli in traffic. We have Meola, Albon, all the leaders trying to go through, as Zipoli cuts completely the chicane to avoid colliding with faster traffic. It's a tough track, Joshua, to navigate through the lap cars for all these drivers. Definitely.
Yeah, that chicane specifically is also a very tough corner because it is so tight, not only just width-wise, but you have to get on the brakes very hard. This is the turn 7 chicane, a lot wider. Same thing with the turn 9, turn 10 chicanes. They're a lot wider. You don't need to get on the brakes as hard. So especially that turn 5 chicane is one of the toughest corners on this course.
Meantime, we have always this great battle between Brazilians. We have a interesting group of Brazilian drivers from 6th to 10th. So we can definitely say that our top 10 is dominated by Brazilians. Unfortunately, at the tail end of the top 10, I must say, but still a remarkable job. as we are now starting lap 13 for these drivers.
On board with Thiago Spencer in the 12. As he is in a battle with Paulo Dreta, trying to catch him up ahead. Dreta was able to get by Thiago Spencer right before we saw Marcus G in the 14 spin off of turn number 5. The 4 of Paulo Dreta was behind the 12 of Thiago Spencer right on that rear wing. He got around him while we were focusing on those replays, and now we are back to, oh my, and around goes. That was a spin from one of the cars up ahead. I believe that was Paulo Dreta. Yes, it was. He's fallen down the order. He's now in 13th.
Yeah, we had in the meantime also a switch of position between the two Dantas, as we see also on the replay. Dreta hitting hard the wall.
And that's the front wing gone. That means it's a automatic trip to pit road for Paulo Dreta. Unfortunate for the Brazilian.
Needs to be careful because we lack plenty of downforce. Don't want to run into somebody in these slow corners. It's suspension damage too, so I think this is a race over for the Brazilian driver.
Yeah, and he's going to go straight on into pit road as Sensuke Hanzawa back in a battle with Erwin Schmidt. As the 18 continues to try and keep on to that position in 14th. They started in 14th, so good day for Sensuke Hanzawa to not lose any positions as of right now. They make their way through turn number 2 and back into turn 3. Biggest mover of the race so far still is Lucas Moreo with 15 positions gained. Biggest loser on the day is Marcus G in the 14 after that spin at turn 5. He's now down 16 positions from where he started originally in 7th, as he has scored in 23rd. A lot of inside curb from the 18 AlphaTauri there going through turn 5.
Yes, I see these drivers being very, very aggressive on these curves. You need to be careful. If you hit them too much, you might damage the floor of the car or even the front wing. But seems to be pretty resistant, nobody having issues so far in that particular spot. Let me also speak about our 10th place car right now with the number 16, Camille van der Drisch, making up plenty of spots and profiting from Dreta's mistake to move into the top 10 in this event. Another new face in our broadcast race. Now defending from Lucas Moreno for 10th place and going through some lap traffic.
Currently scored in 10th, so a great first day here on the broadcast for Camille van der Drisch as Lucas Moreno tries to get around him as he scored in 11th. He wants to gain one more position. He's gained 15 on the day. Would love to make it 16 as we have 3 laps to go here at Circuit Zolder. And we want to remind any drivers in the race. Oh, Marco Zippolo's around in the 19th spot. That's the number 7 car. I believe he's around in turn 6.
Very bad spot. Might have to tow here. Would be a very wise idea.
He's going to need to wait a long time to get back on the racetrack. He still has a lot of cars coming.
I think he's not stuck. Sometimes he might even be stuck. Thank God he finds a suitable time, but it's very difficult because you don't really see oncoming traffic, even though you have a relative. It's very, very complicated. But here is Luca Albon, almost 4 seconds on Francesco Mela right now with 2 more laps to go after this.
So Albon continues to lead, a good lead as well, 3.8 seconds. And like I was saying before, we saw that spin from Marco Zippolo. If any of the drivers of this race are tuning into the broadcast, we would like you to join the Apex Racing TV Discord server. And after the race, hop into one of our interview waiting rooms because we want to talk to you about what your thoughts were on today's race and how you think your race went from behind the wheel. So make sure you head into our YouTube chat. The Discord link will be in the description and in the chat room as well. And you can hop into our Discord and we'll give you a little bit of an interview here on Apex Racing TV as Luca Albon brings it through turn 10, and he's going to take the white flag to go on to the final lap here at Circuit Zolder. One more perfect lap from Luca Albon, and it'll be 3 in a row here on the broadcast.
Great race by Albon as in Spain. Absolutely great performance. Not a single mistake. Pole position and a flawless execution. Also here in Belgium, as behind we have the two Italians. They are separated by almost 1.5 seconds, so I don't think we will have any battle, but still valuable points for Pagotto, losing some for the overall championship standings, but it's still a longer season, so we always need to look at the positives out of these events.
Gianfranco Pagotto, with his third place finish, is going to get another third place finish. This will be 2 third place finishes in a row for Pagotto, which is going to be his 2 best finishes of the season. Actually, that makes 4 third place finishes as well. He had 2 third places week 1 and week 2, but it's going to be 3 first place finishes in a row for Luca Albon as he goes back to victory lane here on the broadcast at Zolder. Miola and Pagotto still battling for that second spot, but Miola's going to take it. Pagotto comes home in third as we take a look at the battle between Heitor Lopez and Shinsuke Hanzawa further back. Or sorry, that's Lopez and Moreo battling for the 12th position. One final chicane to go. This is turn 10, the final opportunity for Lopez to make a pass. Will he do it?
Difficult here. Good defensive line by Moreiro. Gets a decent exit too, so nowhere to go for Heitor Lopez, who will finish in 13th place. Behind him, Shinsuke Asawa, Erwin Schmidt, all coming across the start-finish line. As we have a replay for Lucas Moreiro, who had a scary moment here on the chicane. Thankfully, the car was okay. Last lap accident, so he lost some valuable time and also, I think, a position there.
So we did lose a spot on that crash, but still, end of the day, the biggest mover up 14 positions with his 12th place finish. And there's the 6 of Max Bortolotta. A lot of trouble for him today as he brings it home. As we wait for the remaining drivers to come across the line. A great race here today, Alessandro. We're expecting another exciting one as we enter week 6, and I think we definitely got a lot of great battles throughout the midfield.
Absolutely. It's gonna be a race to remember for Luca Albon and a race to forget absolutely for Bartolotta, not his fault though, and absolutely also for Marco Zipoli, who got involved in a few accidents along the way today at Zolder. But now let's have a look at the race results of this race.
Luca Albon takes home the win with Francesco Miola in second, Gianfranco Pagotto third, Connor Wagner fourth, Marcus Luzio rounds out your top 5 with Flavio Dantas, Felipe Dantas, Jose Kaplan, Thiago Spencer, and Camille Vandendreich rounding out your top 10. Malcolm Lauritsen, Lucas Morio, Heitor Lopez, Shinsuke Hanzawa, and Erwin Schmidt your top 15, with Chuck Morrow, Will Mason, Max Bortolotta, Rod McGuire, Marco Zappoli rounding out your top 20. In the final 6 cars into 26, it is Felix Kaner, Paulo Dreta, Marcus G, Diego Acevedo, Andy Flint, and Tomoyo Shingu. 26 cars took the green flag, and that is how they all came across the line. But Alessandro, I want to talk about Luca Albon first, because he had a slow start on the broadcast that we saw, but then he got his footing and now goes 3 in a row. I mean, right now, Luca Albon is unstoppable in these F3 cars.
Absolutely, looks definitely unstoppable, and I came a little bit in late. I didn't commentate on the first few rounds, but since I joined in the booth, I've seen him always very, very comfortable in the car. Maybe the Nürburgring wasn't really that fast, but then he managed to get some amazing things in Donington and Barcelona and showed an absolutely astonishing performance here with some great lap times and not a single mistake, which I still think is remarkable for every driver. When you race so hard with such an amazing pace, Josh, it's like they are machines. They barely make mistakes, but the problem is if you make a single mistake, you're gonna pay very, very hard.
Now I want to pivot to Gianfranco Pagodo, because like I mentioned earlier, this is going to be his fourth third place finish of the season. And it is just an insane number. I mean, that just shows how consistent Gianfranco Pagodo is. But we saw with the amount of wins Albon has now gotten that he lost that points lead, and now that gap is going to continue to grow. Do you think Pagodo really needs a win now, or do you think that consistency might pay off if Albon starts making mistakes?
I think Pagotto is in a very good spot at the moment. Luca Albon is probably the fastest driver in the field right now, but Pagotto in the end is not many points away from him, and it just takes one single mistake, one single race where Albon doesn't score points, or for some reason he cannot be here with us in the evening, and Pagotto will jump in the standings. So the race. The next race, for example, Detroit, is gonna be, let's say, very interesting. Having walls on both sides of the track is gonna cause a lot of trouble to many drivers that are not used to it. And what if one of these two contenders make a single mistake, and this might change the entire championship?
I wanted to pivot to Detroit next because that's where we head to in round 7 of this championship. I was going to throw this out there. Do you think that Albon and Pagodo might be at an increased risk of making mistakes because the first 6 weeks of this championship were all purpose-built road courses, a lot smoother than Belle Isle, which is a street circuit, very narrow, very bumpy. Do you think we're going to see a brand new winner, a brand new top 5, or do you think it's going to be the same names up at the front once again?
I think more or less we should be seeing the same people. We might see some Detroit specialists maybe also join in for next week. I know there are some people that actually really love the track and they are super fast, so we might see some surprise faces. But in the end, I think we will see most of the top 5 guys run there. But for sure, it's gonna be a high-risk track for everyone, from the best drivers to even the midfield, because you know, it takes just one accident in the top 5 and you might find yourself with the old track block, and that could definitely change the complexity of the race. So it's gonna be definitely a race to watch and absolutely not miss.
Well, after the Detroit Grand Prix at Belle Isle in round 7, we head to Road America, then Okayama, then the Interlagos circuit, then Road Atlanta, then we round off the season at Monza for week number 12. For Marco Barbanera, Alessandro Dalladone, I am Joshua Lee. We thank you all for tuning in to the Apex Racing Academy official F3 Championship here on Apex Racing TV. And remember, if you have a Class D 4.0 license in road or above, you can race this series every hour on the 15. We thank you all for tuning in, and we hope to see you next week. We're saying goodbye from Circuit Zolder.